Good morning. It is a classic Monday morning, and as ever you join me in the studio. For those of you who are new here, my name is Claire Luxton and I am a full-time contemporary artist, and for the last 7 coming into 8 weeks I have been visually journaling my life as a full-time artist. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe and join me here. This has been a very vulnerable and joyful and confusing and exciting journey, and I feel like it's just on the cusp of starting. So I really appreciate all of the familiar faces, all of the new faces, and the support that I've gained over the last 2 months. Today I'm wearing a long sleeve top. Now, for those of you that don't live in this part of the world, so I live in East Sussex, which is the southeast of England, and we have had a heat wave, and I know people roll their eyes at UK heat waves, but if you have been here and experienced UK heat, it's not pleasant. And we have had a heat wave for a solid month. No rain, nothing. And today, dare I say it, like, it's feeling a bit autumnal. Like, it is. Like, I mean, I haven't been on my summer holiday yet. I go in 3 weeks' time. So, like, I'm still trying to be, like, summer vibe girly, but I'm actually freezing. I don't think it's actually cold, but I think in comparison to what we've been experiencing, I'm cold. So I have a thermal layer on, and I found myself sitting at my desk, staring at my notepad, staring at my computer for, I kid you not, a solid 40 minutes. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to pick up the camera and I'm going to talk about this, because I think it's something that isn't really addressed or spoken about. It's certainly not something that art school teaches you. I posted a reel on Instagram recently, and I actually think it was quite provoking. I didn't mean it to be, I just meant it to be honest. But I went to Goldsmiths. I did a 4-year degree, so I did a foundation course which I did at Canterbury, and then I did a 3-year degree at Goldsmiths, studied fine art. And I think there are a lot of things curriculum-wise that aren't actually taught, which would enable you to turn fine art into an actual career. There's obviously syllabus about art, but I think the majority of people who go to art school want to have a creative career. And so all of these things I've had to learn the hard way. And being self-employed, running a limited company where I am the only director employee person who works for my company, a Monday morning can be intimidating at the best of times. And there are so many different things that I have to navigate, like finances, planning, organisation. I have no one to hold myself accountable to other than myself. And I was sitting there feeling kind of overwhelmed, and like, it doesn't happen all the time, but I am only human, and when I have very busy periods of time at work with a lot of things to juggle, it can be quite like, oh, what am I meant to do? Because everything I've learned myself through trial and error over the past 10 years of being a professional artist. So the first thing I thought I could share with you this morning, because I was feeling overwhelmed and it's something that I'm actually going to do to help my week, is I have a couple of different planning tools. I like paper and pen. I think there's something about getting it out of your head and writing it down that for me solidifies the information more, and it feels like I don't have to like retain it, I don't have to hold on to it, and it kind of gives me space to like breathe and be creative. So I have a couple of different tools that I like to use to plan and to get organised. So we're going to start with this. Also, I just got my fresh nails done. You will have seen from my childhood sketchbook tour when you were looking at my hands a lot that I had my medieval nails for Oxford Joust. So after that I wanted something just very sleek and contemporary. So I do have endless notebooks and sketchbooks, which you'll know and appreciate now from my childhood sketchbook video and some of the previous studio videos. But they're more for, I would say, well, my creative and artistic expression. But so much of what I have to do now involves running my business, running my schedule, running my social media calendar, adult like accountancy things. There's so many different facets to what I'm doing that's why some days it can feel like, where do I start? What do I do first? And I do have, obviously, like on my phone, I have a synced digital calendar which has all of like my Zoom call meetings which like automatically link up. I have a calendar with like my family so I can see who's doing what when. But for how I run my day-to-day schedule as an artist, as I said, I like to write this down, and the format that I found works best for me is it broken down into 3 tiers, and I'm actually missing one of the tiers because I need to order a new one because I've run out. The first tier is just like a tear off notes. I like to have like an endless to-do notes. So I can just brain dump, I need to do this, like, you know, in no particular order. I just want to get it down so that I don't have to retain it anymore. Then we have the week scheduler. Again, this is like a massive like tear off notepad, and we'll get into this because we'll fill all of this out together so you can see how it's broken down. But this gives me a weekly overview. It does also have another to do, but this is where we'll then get more, you know, more specific with the to do. It's blank, so I can like date it myself. This gives me more of an overview of specific highlights of the main key things that I need to do this week. Then we have my 2 large monthly planners. These are broken down into the making and the sharing. So, I mean, it's quite self-explanatory, but again, these are blank. Oh, I was looking for that. Anyway, so these are broken down into blank, really kind of minimal, clear. I'm a very visual learner, if you hadn't already guessed, and this really helps me see what it is I need to do. So for this, for the making planner, I'll put in, you know, I am shooting a portrait here, so it means that all of the props need to be made by here, or I'm installing a public art installation here, so this needs to be resourced by then. So anything that is to do with me practically having to make, construct, build, design something goes in the making planner. Then the sharing planner is, again, it's the same format, but this is, I'm going to be launching that artwork then. I am sharing this exhibition here. I'm posting this piece of content here. So this allows me to see, I need to have this done by then. And this makes a lot of sense in my little brain, but saying it out loud, you know, I think it's all about finding a format that works for your creative learning style and your like logical learning style. And this is what I've found, this kind of ecosystem of sketchbooks, lists to do, weekly planner, monthly planner allows me to reset the week, reset the month, and really get things in order. So I'm going to change our little setup and I'm going to start and fill this out. Okay, so today is August and it is Monday the 24th. So typically I would have already brain dumped on my other to-do list, and I will show you which one I use because I need to order a new one. But I'm going to have to just do that on here and then make things more specific within my overview. So one of the things I really like to do is keep this quite detailed, but like not too minute. I use my large monthly planners to get really kind of like nuanced and specific. For me, these are like headlines of the main things that have been carried over from the previous week or that are new in on a Monday morning. And I like to keep it quite specific, but have a flow to it so that if things chop and change, unpredictable things often come up in my work and I need to be flexible to move different elements around. So this just gives me something that I can look at on a morning and be like, yeah, I'm on track. I love to use colours. Red is for kind of like moving something or something that has been I would say moved to the top of the priority list, and then I use green over here to cross things out and kind of, you know, give me a little reward system. And this works, this like initial structure works really well for me. So I actually just got some feedback. I'm working on a new video for a brand, and one of the things that you typically have written into a contract is a certain number of rounds of feedback, which protects you and protects the client so that you both understand kind of the different stages of where you're at. And as an artist, you're protecting yourself in as much as you can't just endlessly be working on a project. So for this project, we have 2 rounds of revisions. And actually after 1 round, they only have 1 tiny little tweak that they want me to make, which is to do with blending the sound a little bit more at the start of the video. So I'm just going to work on that, re-export it and send it back. And actually I should be able to get that live and posted possibly today or tomorrow. But it's always so lovely when you share a piece of work and there's basically little to no critique or things to change, because you feel like you've really achieved the vision that the collaborative process has been working towards. So I'm just going to work on this sound blending at the start of the video. I've done it so that the video loops. It effectively works on a timeline of telling my story. And so where the end frame scrubs through, it then becomes the first frame of the video. So let me get to work on that.
I always knew I wanted to be a... I always knew...
Hey, don't worry about the question. blended, slower volume. I'd be actually really interested to know what sharing platforms anyone else uses, because I have this thing where some clients aren't able to use certain platforms due to their like in-house security, I think it is. So I used to have WeTransfer, Dropbox, and like Google Share Drive. I now just have Dropbox and Google Share Drive. But I mean, I would prefer to have it consolidated in one space. But I haven't found that flexibility because, as I say, different brands, different companies, different clients want to use different servers. But if anyone has come across something that's more universal, I would be very interested to know. Also, my internet download speed is absolutely fine at the studio. I actually have to have a special router because there isn't any proper internet. But my upload speed is quite painful. So I'm just re-uploading this new version to send. I'm just having a quick break and I thought I would update you on my secret project. I'm not avoiding, I'm I basically have to have, things are a little bit delayed and I have to have a couple of meetings about it, and I'm just trying to get all of my ducks in a row. So maybe I should have, kept my mouth shut a little bit longer, but soon I can share this properly with you. And as I said, there will be so much richness and goodness to share. But yeah, things are just, there's so many moving parts and it's really exciting, but just also like, I feel nervous about it. I feel excited. I feel giddy. I feel, whatever that is in words. And I just want to make sure that everything is aligned and I share this with you properly. Good morning. It is Tuesday. I got absolutely waylaid yesterday afternoon with more revisions and emails for other projects, but sometimes it feels nice to get that wrapped up. And then I went home, had a lovely dinner, and then Scott and I went out for a really nice kind of dusky walk. I find it so relaxing and reflective just to walk in the countryside. And it really got me thinking about what I was relating to yesterday, the things that art school didn't teach me. And there's quite a lot. And when I was on the walk, I was thinking about actually really specific, important things that now seem so obvious to me, but at the time really did trip me up. And I know some people still get tripped up by these things now. So I made some notes and I thought that we could go over them with some specific stories. So the number one is, and this is possibly one of the most important things, is intellectual property rights within any form of contract. Now, contracts can be difficult to navigate anyway, and the more that you can build into a contract that protects yourself as an artist and your workflow and the hours that you're going to work and your requirements is incredibly important. But the most important thing, in my opinion, is intellectual property rights. There have been many a contract, even now, but now it doesn't flag as a problem because I know how to build that in. But at the start of my career, there'd be so many contracts where if you read the small print, you would effectively be signing over all your intellectual property rights for that artwork to whoever has commissioned it, whatever brand you're working with, whatever collaboration you're on, and never sign away your intellectual property rights to your artwork. Never do that. it's not something that I would ever accept. And it's a really easy thing to request to change. And I think if someone isn't willing to change that, I would perhaps think that they're not someone worth working with. There are obviously very nuanced and specific occasions where it could be applicable, but I would discuss that with multiple different people, and also the figure would need to be completely different to value that you're signing over all the rights to that work, because you would then no longer be able to sell prints of that artwork, use that artwork in magazines or catalogues, license the artwork. It would no longer belong to you, and that person would be able to distribute, edit, change that artwork however they saw fit. And then something that you've created could be sat alongside something that you don't agree with. It could be manipulated in a way that doesn't sit right with your ethics. So it's so important to maintain and retain your intellectual property rights. Effectively, within a contract, you want to be agreeing to some form of a license or a fixed term that the client has the right to use your work for. The next thing that I had no idea about was setting up a business and accountants and business tax, VAT, self-assessment tax. There are so many different elements that you need to save and pay as a business, and that you have to record and charge as a business. Right at the start of my career, I had a collector in Italy, and I charged them tax because I thought that's what I was meant to do. Because I'm in the UK, I don't charge them UK tax because the work was going to Italy. So I charged them and they paid it, and then when their accountant saw it, I had to pay it all back. So these are things that you just don't, I was so young and naive, and I just didn't know what I was doing. But no one had really explained it to me. And until you start to learn these things, why would you know? Because it's not something that's readily taught. I mean, I know all art schools are different. This is from my experience, but literally hundreds of other artists, musicians, actors have told me the exact same thing. So I think it's more a wider experience than I would like it to be for people. But I now have an amazing accountant. I did do all of my own accounts, I think for the first 5 years, and then I got to a point where just my business needed an accountant, because there are so many different elements that need to be filed and paid for. The next thing I had absolutely no idea about was shipping. Now, this might seem like a really simple and obvious thing, but actually it's one of the things I still find potentially the most stressful. It's because I'm a perfectionist, and I really hate the idea of my art in transit and the fact that it can get lost, it can get damaged. And these are just the things you have to roll with, but that's why you have insurance. But mainly at the start of my career, I just didn't realize how much shipping cost. And if I wasn't sending something rolled in a tube and it had glass in it, or it was valued over a certain price, I didn't realize that the work would need to be crated. And I know some amazing shipping and crating companies now that I work with on a regular basis. But at the time, I sold a massive piece, I think it was 120 by 150 jungle juice, to a collector in Vietnam. And I was so excited that when I sold the piece, I just put on my regular shipping fee. I didn't think that it would be what it ended up being. I think that the shipping ended up costing something like £700. And so that took out, and I think I'd charged maybe 120. I just didn't realize what freighting, like air freight or shipping on a boat in a crate would cost at the time. And again, you live and you learn. But I think if you're selling any form of art, I think it's so important to understand, if you're going to sell that thing, how might it be shipped, and not just within your own country, how might it be shipped across the world? Because excitingly, you do end up with collectors all around the world. And again, you know, this was 10 years ago. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I think it's important to know that not everyone just starts off by knowing these things, and that you actually have to figure it out. But hopefully this will help you not have to go in the same mistakes as me. And then finally, I mean, there's so many things, but I just thought I'd do 4 today. Finally, one of my biggest regrets, and this still bothers me, is that right at the start of my career, and it was an amazing opportunity at the time, I was represented by a gallery. And again, this isn't probably the same for all galleries, but I know that it is quite a regular model that happens, is that I don't know who any of my collectors were at the time. I don't know where my artworks are that were sold. I don't know who bought it, because the gallery wouldn't share that information with me. And I think it's actually really important to know who your collectors are, to know where your artwork exists and lives around the world, to know the provenance of its journey, in essence. And not knowing where 4 years of my work went and lives and who it's collected by is such a sad regret. And there's not really anything I could have done about it, in essence, but I think it's another reason why they weren't a good fit for me. And I think it's something that you should insist upon. I understand why they do it. From their perspective, it's so that that collector then doesn't buy directly from you, but it's why I don't necessarily love the gallery model, if I'm completely honest. I think it's really great to have a rapport with your collectors where possible, or at least to know who they are and where the work exists within the world. So those are things that art school definitely didn't teach me, and I know that is still not being taught. I literally have a list a mile long, and I think if any of those topics that I just mentioned, or any other topics you'd like me to go into in like more detail, so like specifically how I ship, specifically running a business, or anything else like that, let me know in the comments, and I can certainly cover it within more depth within another video. So today I'm going to finish editing and uploading this video, and then I have a lot of work to do on my secret project. I know it's so annoying, but I'm just so itchy to tell you about it, and we're getting there. So thank you so much for joining me in the studio again. I have so many ideas of where I want to take this creative space, and visually journaling what I do and speaking with you every week I find really, really special, and it really makes me feel part of a community. I'm on my own a lot of the time, unless I'm then on a big project and then I'm with like 50 people with a camera in my face. So it's quite a roller coaster. So seeing you guys every week is something that I really value and is really special. So again, I hope that you would consider subscribing if you're new here, and if you're old, thank you so much for continuing to support me, and I will see you next week.